Hello and welcome. Today I have a special game for you. As mentioned in a previous video, I recently played at a chess tournament at my school. It was held by my physics teacher. As he also plays chess on chess.com, he gave his username, so I can challenge him. This was the first game we played online and the third overall. Going into the game, the score was 1-1. My teacher isn't actually a GM, you can see that by his rating, but I thought, why shouldn't I give him the title? He deserves it for his physics lessons. The game started pretty startledly with e4, e5. He tried the fried liver attack, an opening I'm decently familiar with, so he wasn't able to gain a huge advantage. Going out of theory, the evaluation was +1, but my teacher has to be careful since he gave up a knight for development. He surprised me with castling. I'm used to a trap that can lead to an early checkmate, but I guess he realized that I know the opening, so he didn't try it. The trap would be d4, knight to c2 check, king to d1, knight takes the rook on a1, and the bishop takes the knight on d5. Black's biggest hope in this position would be to take the bishop on d5 back, but the position is absolutely lost and white can easily win. But that didn't happen since I knew the trap and he castled instead of going d4. Here I played the best move, c6. It's the only good move, since my knight on b4 can easily be kicked out by a pawn, leaving my other knight undefended. Moving the bishop is a mistake. The computer says that if white plays d4, the pawn on c2 isn't under any threat, since taking it would be a huge blunder for black, since it takes away an important defender of the black position. I played the best move again and he responded with another mistake. Moving the queen is bad because it gives black a chance to gain back development by moving the king to f7. Sadly, I didn't find it and tried protecting my e-pawn. He finally kicked out my knight, but traded away his bishop, giving the advantage back to me. Taking the d-pawn with the knight is an inaccuracy, since taking it with the queen would have been a bit better. Again, I should have played f7, but I was scared of knight to e3, since I forgot I could move my queen away to block the check. Again, he didn't play d4, which the computer still claims to be the best move. This knight trade is pretty bad for white, since white loses a very active knight for a pretty passive one. Again, I missed that I should just bring my king to safety, since I was afraid of locking in my rook. Now d4 is a miss, since my pawn wasn't really defended on e4. It may look like the queen protects it, but if I tried to take it back I would have lost my queen. I made another mistake trying to bait his queen to b6, but he made an inaccuracy, so it wasn't that bad. I made another inaccuracy. The computer would have wanted me to move my king away instead of blocking. Here I started trying to get the queens traded, which eventually happened, a big mistake for him, since he just lost another very active piece. I managed to get a misclick in a daily game since I didn't really look. I wanted to take with the bishop but selected the king. It isn't extremely terrible, but it blocks the bishop, which is bad. Now he equalized the material, but since an additional bishop is more useful than 3 pawns, I clearly have the advantage. This analysis is taking longer than expected, so I'd say let's solve a physics question in honor of my physics teacher. As I have a physics exam tomorrow, I will just solve a task I need to learn a bit. If you want to, you can skip this part of the video. Now let's start with the first question. Mrs. Green's refrigerator consumes an electrical power of 150 W. The cabinet is filled with 75 liters of food at 25 degrees Celsius, consisting essentially of water. The refrigerator is to cool these foods to 5 degrees Celsius. How much heat must be extracted from the food? Let's start by writing down what we know. We know that 75 liters of water are equal to 75 kilograms of water. Next, the temperature difference. To get this, we just subtract the two temperatures. In this task it doesn't really matter which order you do it, but since I want to know how much energy is extracted, I will subtract the goal temperature from the start temperature, so I get a positive temperature difference. Now we have everything we need. Since the heat constant of water is already written in the task. Now we just multiply this constant with the mass of the water and the temperature difference, and we get how much heat has been extracted. So we calculate 4182 joule per kilogram per degree Celsius times 75 kilogram times 20 degrees Celsius. This gives us 6273000 joule or 6273 kilojoule. Now let's go to the second task. How long would a heater of 150 W power have to operate to heat these foods from 5 degrees Celsius to 25 degrees Celsius? Let's start again by writing down what we know. 150 watt is equal to 150 joule per second. With the result of the previous task we already have everything we need. We just divide the result of the last task by 150 joule per second and this should give us how long it would take such a heater to heat the foods this much. So it's 6273000 joule divided by 150 joule per second. This gives us 41,820 seconds. Since this isn't really a useful result we divide it by 3600 to get how many hours this is. The result is roughly 11.6 hours. Now we're already at the last task. Ms. Green notes that the refrigerator runs for 4 hours after the food is added and then shuts off. The temperature of 5 degrees Celsius is then reached. What is the power rating of the refrigerator? So we know the refrigerator takes 4 hours to cool the food. A task that takes, as we know, 6273000 joule. If we now divide those joule by the seconds in 4 hours, it's 14,400 seconds, we get exactly 435.625 joule per second. To get the power rating we just divide the actual power, 435.625 joule per second, with the power consumption of our refrigerator, which is 150 joule per second. This gives us a power rating of 2.904. I don't know how good that is, but this is our result. I hope you had fun in this little physics lesson. If I should explain other tasks, write them into the comments, if I can I will try to solve them in future videos. I hope my explanations weren't too boring, but I'm way worse at explaining than my physics teacher. He's a great teacher, although he's a bit forgetful sometimes. Now welcome back to those who skipped it, let's get back to the chess game. Here I knew I was a lot better so I started to trade pieces to get to an easily winnable endgame. The next moves weren't too complicated, I just tried to get into a better position than him and take back the pawns he has instead of a second bishop. This move is great, since it either allows me to take all his pawns, or to get an unstoppable pawn. While he has 2 pawns I can block. So in both cases it's absolutely winning for me. Now I just have to push my pawn and try to not lose my rook and I win. And here he gave up since he knew, he had no chance anymore that I slip up. The computer says, it's made in 8 moves, but I would have probably taken longer. Thanks for watching and as always, keep grinding.